Welcome back, everybody, to the longest journey. Uh, as you guys know, I record each episode like long things. So basically, I record an hour and then split it up into like episodes. But thinking back to that last story, oh man, that one really hits close to home for me. That one really hits close to home. I admit, oh man, did I mess up? I went through that, and it really goes to show, like, I'm one of the people who knows pretty well that people can't wait around forever. So, yeah, don't waste your time. But yeah, I basically went through that. Took too long, and well, so here we are. Anyway, let's continue on with the next story.
Hi, Saina.
Hi, April.
Do you know
Please
one
don't
of the
be sad
four
like the
tales
other
of
one.
Winds, Stars, Sea, and Homecoming?
Yes, my mommy taught me the tale of the stars. It's a really pretty story. You
I
want me
would
to
love
tell
to
it?
hear it.
Please, Saina, I would like that very much.
Okay. This is my tale, the tale of stars, and I tell it to you in my own words, as it was told to me by my teacher in her words. In the small village of Jinjay near the rumbling hills of Onion, there lived a girl called Mona. She was a curious girl, and she would always get in the way of grown elation. Go play somewhere else, they would say to Mona, but she didn't want to play with the other children. She wanted to be where the grown-ups were, to see what they were doing, and learn from them. But one day, after getting many complaints from the pottery makers and guardsmen and traders and soldiers in the village, Mona's mother told her that she wasn't to interfere with the grown-ups anymore. And that instead, she could go play with the other children, or sit still and draw or work with clay. But Mona was always curious, and now, since she wasn't to be among the grown elation anymore, she decided to go exploring the forest that lay just outside of the village of Jinjay. She had many times been forbidden to enter the forest because it could be a dangerous place, but Mona was very curious. Of course, she wasn't planning on going far into the forest, but then her eye caught sight of a white flufftail hopping through the tall grass, and Mona, curious as ever, gave chase. The flufftail ran away into the forest, and Mona followed, blind to where she was going and interested only in catching the white flufftail so that she could keep it as a pet. But then, after a good while, the flufftail disappeared into a hole in the ground, leaving Mona alone in a small clearing, somewhere deep inside the forest. She was exhausted after running after the flufftail for so long, and as she looked around the clearing at the unfamiliar trees and flowers, she realized that she hadn't been paying attention to where she was going. Not for the first time her curiosity had gotten the better of her, but this time it was serious. Mona was too young to fly, and she had very little sense of direction, and chasing the white flufftail had made her dizzy and tired. It was getting darker, and Mona was all alone in the deep, dangerous forest, too sleepy and too scared to be able to go anywhere. Mona curled up with her wings wrapped around her under the leaves of a tree and began crying. Soon it got really dark, and somewhere, not far away, wolves started howling at the moon. Mona was so scared she was petrified, but after a while her exhaustion got the better of her, and she fell asleep. She woke up when she heard a voice calling her from somewhere far above. Looking up at the starry sky, Mona saw a vision of the spirits of 5 tellers gazing down at her. "You have let your curiosity lead you astray," said one. "You are lost, and you deserve to be lost," said another. "Poor little girl," said a third. "We will help you home," said a fourth. "But remember this," said the 5th spirit. "We will lead you back to your village, and to your mother only if you promise us one thing." "I promise," said Mona. "Whatever it is, I promise I will do it." "Very well," said the first spirit. "You will make the story of this night into your own tale, and you will call it the Tale of Stars." "It will be a tale to warn the curious to be careful," continued the third spirit, "and to not let their curiosity get the better of them. And," said the second spirit, "to remind the elation that the spirits of their tellers watch out for them when they most need it." And so the spirits of the 5 tellers guided Mona through the forest, and by dawn she was home. And Mona did tell her tale, the Tale of Stars, to everyone in the village, so that everyone would remember that the curious must be cautious, and that the spirits of the tellers are always watching. This was my tale, the Tale of Stars, and I told it in my own words as my teacher did to me.
That was a beautiful tale, Saina.
Thank you.
There's a lesson to be learned in it.
Bye-bye, Saina.
You're leaving again? I wish you could stay.
Me too, Saina,
Yeah, well,
believe
this game's got to continue on, so... Or this story's got to continue on, I should say. It was a nice story. Bit of a lesson to learn. Alright, now we gotta go talk to the old man down here. Let's... run over here. Now let's talk to him.
Do you know one of the 4 tales of winds, stars, sea, and homecoming?
Mine is the tale of sea, human.
Would you mind telling it to me?
I would be happy to do so. This is the tale of sea, told in my own words, as it was told to me by my teacher in his words, and to him by his teacher in his words. This was a very, very long time ago, when the elation were a strong people, and we could spend days riding the hot winds above the seas. We hunted fish then, and we were at war with the Meram,
Ah, yes.
the wet-tails. Akalis was one of the strongest warriors there was. His claws were sharp and long, his beak pointy, and his teeth strong. Akalis was admired by everyone in his clan, and because of this, he was cocky and arrogant. So one day, the teller of Akalis city asked him to perform a very important and very special duty, to bring a sacred jewel to the teller of an elation town across the sea. This particular jewel was very important because it signified a union between the 2 towns, and it would benefit the people of both that it was delivered safely and promptly. Akalis grinned and told the teller that he would deliver the jewel both quickly and safely, and that she was not to worry. But the teller did worry, because Akalis was young and too sure of himself. But she wanted to test him, and to teach him that sharp claws, a pointy beak, and strong teeth are not all a warrior needs, that a warrior must also be wise and careful. So Akalis set out across the sea on his flight. It was on the 4th day that he spotted something in the water that caught his attention, and forgetting his duty and following his curiosity, Akalis dived towards the water to investigate. When he came closer, he saw that there were Meram in the water, foolishly hunting close to the surface, and Akalis saw an opportunity to again prove his might as a great warrior to his people, and to capture the fins of a few wet-tails. But this time, Akalis' arrogance got the better of him, because the Meram had set a trap. As he dived towards the Meram with his claws, a spear shot up from the water to hit him. Akalis struck the water and dropped the jewel he was carrying, and it was all he could do not to drown. Akalis was bleeding, and the Meram were grabbing onto his wings and his legs, But he fought bravely, and finally he managed to escape. But even though he now lived, he was dead inside, because the shame of losing the sacred jewel would always be with him. Acalas could not return to his village because he had neglected his duty to his teller and to his people, and so he went away to a small island where he could be alone. To himself and his people, Acalas now became the Lost One. He who had been on a sacred mission but had failed in his arrogance. A year passed, and one day Acalas met with human traders from a ship that came close to his island. From the traders, Acalas heard speak of a hideous creature that lived in the sea, the Octowo.
The Octowo.
The Octowo was said to have a third eye, like a jewel, and that this eye pulled hapless sailors into its deadly 8-armed grasp. Acalas knew immediately that the Octowo's third eye had to be the jewel that he lost in the sea a year ago, and he now saw the opportunity to redeem himself. But Elation was not used to water, and the thought of submerging himself in the cold, harsh ocean chilled Acalas to his heart. But he was the Lost One, and if in his death he could at the very least redeem himself, to his own heart then it would be worth it. So Acalas fashioned himself a spear, because in the water his claws and his beak would be too slow, and he flew out to where the Octowo was last seen. And then Acalas dived into the sea. The dark water closed in on him, and his wings and legs went numb. But still Acalas kept pushing down until he saw the lair of the Octowo. Spotting Acalas, the Octowo attacked, and Acalas saw the monster's third eye, his sacred jewel, shining bright in the darkness, and his heart was filled with a sense of duty and courage that he had never felt before. But as he began fighting the 8-armed monster, Acalas realized that if he were to fight like he usually did, he would not stand a chance. He would have to think differently. And so Acalas tricked the Octowo into following him through a tight chasm where the monster got stuck. And then he swam above it, and using his spear, tipped a rock on top of the Octowo. Swimming back down again, the Octowo was flailing helplessly. Now, almost out of air, Acalas took the sacred jewel from the Octowo's head and swam back up. Finally, Acalas could deliver the sacred jewel to the town across the sea, and upon returning to his village, he went to the teller, bowed his head, and said, "Forgive me, teller, for in my arrogance I thought I could do everything. But I could not, and I became the Lost One because of it." "You were lost," said the teller, "but you are no more. Because now you see the limits of your own strength, and you will know that a warrior must be careful and wise, in addition to being strong and fierce." This was the tale of C, and I told it in my own words, as told to me by my teacher.
That was a really nice story. I really enjoyed that. Oh, arrogance is it's a dangerous game. Not much to comment on that one. That story speaks for itself. So, let me guess.
Do you
Winds?
know one of the 4 tales of winds, stars, sea, and homecoming?
Mine is the tale of winds, Windbringer.
Yes, I do.
Wish to hear it?
Very much.
Then I shall tell it. This is the tale of winds, my tale, and I pledge to tell it in my own words, as told in turn by my teacher. In the village of Karan, in the mountains of tall winds, there lived a young Elation woman named Iwana. Ioana had one desire above all others, to soar higher and farther than anyone else.
Ah, so like the tale of
Even though
Icarus
her
then.
wings were no broader, nor her body sleeker than anyone else's, she pursued this foolish desire without rest. And as time passed, she did soar higher, and she did fly farther than the other young elation in her village. And her name became known far and wide amongst the tribes of the mountains of tall winds. But still, Ioana was not happy. She was not happy because, in her vanity, even though she was a better flyer than almost everyone else, and to her eyes, she was still not good enough. She wanted to be so much better than anyone else that she would be remembered for all time as the best flyer amongst all the elation. And so one day, Ioana decided to climb to the top of Mount Bakta'ana, the Tower of Light, and to soar from those giddy heights to the ends of the world. Her friends and her family pleaded with her not to, because every elation knew that to soar from such heights was dangerous, that at such heights the air was thin and the winds treacherous. But Ioana would not listen, and on a cold and clear morning she climbed up the Tower of Light to the rock and the ice at the very top. From there she could see to the ends of the world. And it brought tears to her eyes to know that now, finally, she would be greater and better than any elation before her. And so Ioana spread her wings and leaped off the mountain. Those who watched her from far below said that for a split moment Ioana soared, and she soared higher and farther than any elation before or since. But then the treacherous winds caught a hold of her, and the thin air made her plummet towards the ground, and to fall to her death amongst the rocks at the base of the mountain. In her vanity, Ioana could not see beyond her desire to be the very best. And vanity always stands to fall. That was the tale of winds, my tale, and I told it in my own words, as told to me in turn by my teacher.
Yeah, this is basically like the tale of Icarus, where he, at least I think it was Icarus, where he flew too close to the sun. Vanity, arrogance. It seems these stories have a lot of warnings for people, like, you know, be cautious, don't fall to arrogance, don't fall to vanity, but also, like, don't waste time. There's lessons to be learned in these stories. Alright.
Are you ready for the questions now?
Yeah, you know what, let's do this now. Let's start these questions now. I know I'm close to the end of my time, but let's do this. Alright, so, now in the walkthrough it says it's always the third option, so, but let's start this.
Yes, ask me the questions.
In the Tale of Winds, which mountain did Ioana fall from in her vain attempt to fly higher and further than anyone else?
Mount Everest. Mount Kilimanjaro. Tower of Light.
Mount Bakta'ana,
I mean,
the
it's the one
Tower
that's
of
got
Light.
the most detail.
That is correct. In the Tale of Stars, what did Mona see in the sky that helped her find her way home?
The five tellers. Yeah, so, you know, pick the one that's blatantly obvious.
The spirits of 5 tellers.
That is correct. In the Tale of Sea, what creature did the Lost One battle in his quest to recover the sacred jewel?
I'm pretty sure that's just an octopus, but yeah. I mean, that's half true, but no, it was the
The
Octowl.
Octowo?
That is correct. My final question to you is this.
Sorry, my voice is going.
In the Tale of Homecoming, what was given to Moran by his teller when he returned from his pilgrimage?
Yes. This is the one that, I gotta be honest, this one nearly made me cry. it was just so sad. And yet, I think it's because it hits too close to home for me. But yeah, a broken pot.
A broken pot to teach him that absence may break a heart in two.
You have correctly answered all my questions, and so have proven your knowledge of the four tales. You are the Windbringer. The teller would see you presently.
Okay, so we are actually going to end this video here. I'm going to do one more episode, only because I can't remember if I did 4 or 5. But I will see you all in the next episode. As always, guys, stay safe and stay healthy.